As we grow older, it becomes clear that our health is shaped not only by what we eat, but also by how we handle and store our food. And one of the most overlooked yet most important kitchen habits for older adults is this: where you keep your vegetables. That's right. A simple storage mistake like tossing a root vegetable into the fridge or forgetting to chill a leafy green could quietly reduce the food's nutritional value, upset your digestion, or even pose a risk to your immune system. So, if you're over 60 or care for someone who is, this guide is especially for you. Welcome to Senior Fit, where we bring you practical, science-backed tips to help you eat smarter, live stronger, and age with confidence. In today's video, we're breaking down 8 vegetables you should never refrigerate, and 4 that you absolutely must keep cold. And for each one, we'll explain why it matters how to store it right and what mistakes to avoid, so you can preserve flavor, protect nutrients, and avoid common food safety pitfalls. Let's get started, beginning with the first vegetable that should never be stored in the fridge. Potatoes are everywhere in mashed form, roasted, booked, fried, or turned into soups and stews. They're comforting, affordable, and easy to prepare. That's why many older adults rely on them as a meal base or side dish. But here's the problem: when you store potatoes in the refrigerator, they can become more harmful than helpful. Potatoes are rich in natural starches, which help give them their soft, fluffy texture when cooked. But when stored at cold temperatures, particularly below 45 degrees Celsius, those starches start to convert into simple sugars. This process might not sound dangerous at first, but it sets the stage for a chemical reaction during cooking, especially when potatoes are fried, baked, or roasted at high heat. When those sugars combine with amino acids, they can produce a compound called acrylamide, a chemical that's been studied for its potential links to nerve damage, inflammation, and even cancer risk with long-term exposure. For seniors who are already managing chronic conditions such as diabetes, arthritis, or kidney concerns, acrylamide can quietly work against your efforts to eat clean and stay strong. Aside from the chemical changes, potatoes stored in the fridge simply don't taste as good. They often become overly sweet or gritty. The signature fluffy texture gets replaced by something unpleasant, especially when turned into mashed potatoes. And when prepared, they can even cause bloating, gas, or mild indigestion, particularly for adults with slower digestion. Take the story of Geraldine Jerry Rusk, a 78-year-old retired principal from Peoria, Illinois. For years, Jerry kept her potatoes in the refrigerator. It felt like the safest way to extend their shelf life. But she started noticing something strange. Her roasted potatoes tasted weirdly sweet. Her mashed potatoes were no longer smooth. Worse, she began experiencing digestive discomfort after meals that included potatoes, especially at night. Eventually, her granddaughter, a college student studying nutrition, suggested that cold storage might be the culprit. Jerry moved her potatoes to a cool, dark cabinet. Within a week, the digestive issues cleared up, and the sweet, gritty texture vanished too. So what's the best way to store potatoes and protect both your health and the flavor of your food? Choose a cool, dark, and dry place like a pantry cabinet or root cellar. Keep potatoes in a paper bag, mesh sack, or cardboard box, never a sealed plastic bag. Ensure the space is well ventilated to avoid moisture buildup and sprouting. Ideal temperature range between 45 degrees and 55 degrees, warmer than your fridge, but cool enough to slow spoilage. Also important, keep potatoes away from onions. Both release gases that can cause the other to spoil faster. Potatoes can absolutely be part of a healthy senior diet. They provide energy, are easy to prepare, and pair well with many other ingredients. But storing them in the refrigerator can compromise not just their flavor, but your well-being. So do your future self a favor. Move your potatoes out of the fridge into a dark, dry space and let them stay as nature intended, simple, nourishing, and safe. A flavorful essential that spoils faster in the fridge. Onions are the backbone of countless dishes. They're used to build flavor in soups, stews, stir-fries, sauces, and casseroles. And nutritionally, they're a smart choice for older adults. Onions contain natural compounds like quercetin, a powerful antioxidant that's been shown to support heart health, reduce inflammation, and even offer antiviral and antibacterial benefits. But while onions are flavorful, affordable, and widely available, they don't belong in the fridge. At first glance, putting onions in the refrigerator might seem like a way to extend freshness. But here's what really happens. Moisture is trapped. The cold, humid environment inside the fridge creates condensation, especially on the outer skins of the onion. This leads to mold. Once mold takes hold, even if it's just on the outside, it can spread inward through the onion's layers. Onions absorb odors and moisture. That means they not only begin to spoil faster, but can also pick up smells from other fridge items. Your onion might end up tasting like last night's leftovers, not pleasant. Texture degrades. The inside becomes mushy, and the flavor goes from sharp and clean to dull sour or even off-putting. For older adults with sensitive stomachs, the chemical changes that happen in a refrigerated onion can lead to bloating, gas, or mild indigestion, particularly if the onion is eaten raw or lightly cooked. This is because refrigeration can cause starches in onions to break down into sugars more quickly, making them harder to digest, and sometimes even fermenting internally if they've gone bad. Meet Vincent Vince Ellsworth, an 82-year-old retired train conductor from Billings, Montana. Vince loved cooking and often kept onions in his fridge drawer, assuming it kept them fresh. But over time, he noticed his onions had a slimy texture, a faintly sour smell, and they just didn't cook the same. Worse, he started feeling gassy and uncomfortable after meals, especially when he sautéed onions for dinner. During a community health talk at his senior center, Vince learned that refrigerating onions was likely the problem. He switched to storing his onions in a basket inside his pantry, cool, dry, and far away from the fridge. The result: his onions stayed firmer and lasted longer. The sour smell disappeared, and his digestion smooth sailing. If you want to enjoy all the benefits of onions without the downsides, here's what to do. Store whole unpeeled onions in a dark, dry, and ventilated space like a pantry shelf or open basket. Avoid using plastic bags or sealed containers. They trap moisture, which is what leads to rot. Keep onions away from potatoes. The two vegetables give off gases that accelerate spoilage in each other. Once-cut onions can be refrigerated, but only if they're tightly sealed. Use within 2 to 3 days and keep them in a glass container or well wrapped in foil or plastic to reduce odor transfer. Onions are a staple both for flavor and for health, but keeping them cold isn't doing them or your digestion any favors. By storing onions correctly, you'll preserve their texture, extend their shelf life, and avoid unnecessary stomach upsets. It's a small change that makes a big difference. Next, let's turn our attention to a crowd. Favorite one that's technically a fruit, but is used in cooking just like a vegetable. It's a regular in sandwiches, salads, and sauces. Nutritious, flavorful, and a staple in kitchens everywhere. But here's something many people don't realize. Storing it in the refrigerator could be quietly ruining both its taste and its health benefits. Let's talk about tomatoes. Garlic might be small, but its impact on senior health is anything but. Used for centuries as both food and medicine, garlic is known for its sharp flavor, its immune-boosting properties, and its role in supporting heart health. It's one of nature's most powerful functional foods. At the core of garlic's power is a compound called allicin, which is released when garlic is chopped or crushed. Allicin has been shown to help lower blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and fight harmful microbes in the body, all of which are especially important as we age. But here's the important thing. To keep garlic fresh and potent, you need to store it the right way. And that means don't put it in the refrigerator. Many seniors refrigerate garlic thinking it will stay fresh longer. Unfortunately, cold and moisture do exactly the opposite. When you store whole garlic bulbs in the fridge, they sprout faster. The cloves start growing green shoots, which are bitter and reduce the garlic's nutritional value. They mold more easily. Moisture in the fridge can collect between the papery skins, causing decay. They lose flavor. The cold environment weakens garlic's natural pungency, leaving it dull and lifeless. They become rubbery or spongy, which makes them unpleasant to chop and even harder to cook evenly. These changes don't just affect taste, they compromise the health benefits too. Let's consider the story of Wendell Duke Hathaway, an 84-year-old retired jazz pianist from Asheville, North Carolina. Duke loved adding garlic to his meals, especially roasted veggies and soups. But he kept his bulbs in the refrigerator. Over time, he noticed the garlic was sprouting quickly, tasting bitter, and giving him more bloating than usual. During a wellness consult at his community center, a nutritionist explained that garlic is best kept in a dry room temperature space. Duke made the switch to a ceramic garlic keeper on his pantry shelf, and in just a week, the garlic stayed firmer, tasted better, and gave him none of the digestive discomfort he'd been experiencing. So, what's the right way to store garlic? Keep whole bulbs in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place, like a mesh basket open bowl or a ceramic garlic holder. Avoid airtight containers or plastic bags that trap moisture. Keep it away from sunlight and sources of heat. Once peeled or chopped, you can refrigerate the leftover portion for a short time, but make sure it's sealed tightly and used within 1 to 2 days. And one more note, never store chopped garlic in oil at room temperature. That combination can lead to the growth of dangerous bacteria, including botulism. The bottom line, garlic is one of the healthiest foods in your kitchen, but only when it's dry, dark, and away from the fridge. Stored properly, it keeps its powerful compounds intact and makes your meals both tastier and better for your heart, your immunity, and your longevity. Now that we've covered the 4 vegetables that should stay out of the refrigerator, let's shift to the ones that need the cold to stay safe, crisp, and full of nutrients. Up first, the most fragile nutrient-dense food in your fridge, leafy greens. Let's start with leafy greens, some of the most nutrient-rich foods on your plate and also the most vulnerable. Whether it's spinach, kale, romaine, arugula, or Swiss chard leafy greens are loaded with critical nutrients for older adults, including vitamin A for vision and immune support, vitamin C for tissue repair and antioxidant protection, vitamin K for healthy bones and blood clotting, folate for heart and brain health, and magnesium for nerve function and muscle relaxation. These greens are soft, low in calories, and easy to digest when cooked lightly, making them ideal for older adults who want to eat lighter but still nourish their bodies. But here's the thing, these delicate leaves need the refrigerator. When stored at room temperature, leafy greens begin to break down quickly. Within hours, they can start to wilt. Within a day or two, they may grow slimy, soggy, or develop brown or black spots, all signs of bacterial growth. And because leafy greens are often eaten raw in salads wraps or smoothies, proper storage becomes even more essential. Eating spoiled greens can expose seniors to harmful pathogens like E. coli or listeria, both of which can lead to serious illness, especially in people with a weaker immune system. Let's hear from Henrietta Heedy Bloom, an 86-year-old retired poetry professor from Eugene, Oregon. Hetty loved buying fresh greens from her local farmer's market, but she often left them on the counter, thinking they were fresh enough to stay out like other vegetables. One afternoon, she made a spinach salad with leaves that had been sitting out overnight. Hours later, she experienced sharp cramps and nausea that led to an urgent care visit. Fortunately, she recovered quickly and learned a powerful lesson. Now, Hetty keeps her greens in the crisper drawer of her refrigerator in a breathable produce bag with a paper towel to absorb extra moisture. Her greens last longer, stay fresher, and most importantly, she feels safer eating them. So how should you store leafy greens the right way? Keep them cold, ideally in the vegetable drawer of your refrigerator. Leave them in their original container or bag if it allows for airflow or transfer to a container lined with a dry paper towel. Do not wash them until you're ready to use them. Washing early introduces extra moisture, which speeds up spoilage. If you buy greens in bulk, consider separating them into smaller portions to reduce handling and air exposure. Cold storage also protects the delicate vitamins in leafy greens, especially vitamin C, which degrades rapidly in heat and light. The takeaway: leafy greens are a powerhouse food for older adults, but only if stored correctly. Keep them cool, dry, and sealed, and they'll reward you with every bite. Next, we'll look at another senior-friendly staple, sweet, crunchy, and loaded with vision-protecting nutrients. Let's talk about carrots. Carrots are one of the most accessible and senior-friendly vegetables out there. They're affordable, easy to chew when cooked naturally, sweet, and they pair well with everything from soups to stews to raw veggie trays. But perhaps most importantly for older adults, carrots are rich in beta-carotene, the orange pigment that the body converts into vitamin A. And vitamin A is essential for eye health, particularly night vision, and preventing macular degeneration. Immune support, helping the body fight infections. Skin renewal and healing, especially as skin becomes thinner with age. And maintaining the integrity of mucous membranes in the lungs and digestive tract. But to preserve all these benefits and that satisfying crunch, carrots need to be refrigerated. Unlike some other root vegetables, carrots do not do well at room temperature for long. They are highly perishable due to their moisture content and thin skin. If left out, here's what happens. They dry out. Carrots lose water quickly and start to soften, going from crisp to rubbery within days. They sprout or rot. Especially in warm or humid kitchens, carrots can grow moldy or develop white, bitter-tasting roots. They lose nutrients. Beta-carotene and other antioxidants begin to degrade in heat and light, reducing their health impact. For seniors, this can mean fewer nutritional benefits and more waste too. Let's revisit Noreen Nora Winscott, an 80-year-old retired antique dealer from Lincoln, Nebraska. Nora used to prep all her veggies for the week on Sunday afternoon. She'd slice up carrots and celery and leave them in bowls on the counter for easy snacking. By Wednesday, the carrots were limp and sometimes had white spots. Her appetite for them and her confidence in their freshness faded fast. Then, during a routine checkup, her doctor's nurse suggested a better storage method. Keep sliced carrots in a container of cold water in the fridge and change the water every couple of days. Nora gave it a try, and the change was immediate. The carrots stayed crunchy, clean, and appealing all week. She enjoyed her snacks more and knew they were safe to eat. Here's how to store carrots properly. For whole unpeeled carrot, trim off the leafy green tops. They draw moisture from the root. Store them in a loose bag or container in the vegetable drawer. For peeled or sliced carrots, place them in a sealed container filled with cold water. Replace the water every 2-3 days to keep them fresh and safe. This method not only keeps your carrots crisp, but also preserves their natural sweetness and color. Two things that make them especially enjoyable for seniors with changing taste preferences. To sum it up, carrots are a staple for vision and immunity in older adults, but they're only effective when stored right. Keep them cold, hydrated, and covered, and they'll reward you with crunch color and valuable nutrition. Next, let's turn to a vegetable that's more than 95% water and one that quickly turns from crisp to concerning if it's not properly refrigerated. We're talking about cucumbers. Cucumbers might seem like a simple salad addition, but they're one of the most refreshing and hydrating vegetables you can include in your diet, especially important for older adults who may not always feel thirsty but still need to stay well hydrated. With over 95% water content, cucumbers provide natural hydration while also delivering a dose of vitamin K, potassium, and silica, a mineral that supports joint health and skin elasticity. Cucumbers are also soothing to the digestive system. Their mild flavor and soft texture make them ideal for people with sensitive stomachs or dental issues, a common concern for seniors. But because cucumbers are so high in water, they also spoil faster than most vegetables, if not stored properly. That's why they absolutely must be refrigerated. When cucumbers are left at room temperature for too long, they lose their crunch, the outer skin begins to wrinkle, and the inside turns soft or mushy. They become sour or bitter. Spoiled cucumbers can develop a slightly acidic smell and taste. They grow mold, especially around the ends. This happens faster in warm kitchens or if stored in plastic that traps condensation. They lose nutrients, especially B vitamins and enzymes that support gut health. All of this makes cucumbers less enjoyable and possibly even unsafe to eat, particularly for older adults with compromised immunity. Take Marty Poehler, an 81-year-old retired school bus driver from Flagstaff, Arizona. Marty loved adding cucumber slices to his sandwiches and even infused his water with cucumber and mint. But he kept his cucumbers in a bowl on the counter, thinking it was easier to see and use them. Over time, he noticed they were going bad fast. They turned yellow soft and even gave him a mild stomach ache one afternoon. After a conversation with his daughter, Marty learned to store his cucumbers in the vegetable drawer of his refrigerator, whole and unwrapped. He also started keeping sliced cucumbers in a sealed container with a paper towel to absorb extra moisture. Now Marty says his cucumbers last over a week, stay crunchy, and taste even better. Here's how to store cucumbers the right way. Keep whole cucumbers in the crisper drawer of your fridge. Avoid wrapping them tightly. They need air circulation. For cut cucumbers, place the slices in an airtight container with a paper towel at the bottom to absorb moisture. Use sliced cucumbers within 5 to 7 days. Avoid leaving cucumbers near the stove or window heat, and sunlight accelerates spoilage. In summary, cucumbers are a gentle, cooling food great for hydration and digestion, but they're fragile. Keeping them cold is the best way to preserve their benefits, reduce waste, and enjoy their refreshing crunch day after day. And now we come to the final vegetable on our list, one that's colorful, sweet, and surprisingly rich in immune-supporting vitamins. Let's talk about bell peppers. Let's wrap up our list with one of the most colorful and nutrient-dense vegetables you can find, bell peppers. Whether red, yellow, orange, or green bell peppers aren't just there to brighten your plate. They deliver real, science-backed benefits, especially for seniors. They're rich. Vitamin C, essential for immune strength and skin healing. Vitamin A, to protect vision and maintain healthy eyes. Fiber for digestive regularity and blood sugar support. And antioxidants like beta-carotene and lutein, which help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. But here's what most people don't realize. Bell peppers need to be kept cold. Left at room temperature, they lose moisture, wilt, and degrade quickly. Vitamin C breaks down with heat exposure, making your beautiful produce far less effective and potentially wasteful. That's what happened to Flo Parnell, a 77-year-old retiree from Alabama. She loved bell peppers in her salads, but always left them out on the kitchen counter. After a few days, they'd turn rubbery and sour. Worse, she noticed her joint pain flaring more often, despite eating what she thought were anti-inflammatory foods. A visit to her local dietitian revealed the issue by letting her peppers sit out. She was unintentionally losing the nutrients that help reduce inflammation. Flo made the change. She now stores her peppers whole and dry in her fridge's vegetable drawer and only cuts what she needs. Her salads taste better, her joints feel better, and her vegetables last longer. Here's how to store bell peppers the smart way. Keep them whole and unwashed in the fridge. After slicing, use airtight containers, ideally with a paper towel inside. Conjure them within 3 to 5 days for best quality and nutrition. Bell peppers are vibrant, versatile, and powerful, but only when stored properly. Now that we've explored all 8 vegetables, it's time for a quick recap and a look at what this means for your health moving forward. Remember, there are 4 vegetables you should never refrigerate. Potatoes, because cold turns their starches into sugar, which can become toxic when cooked. Onions, which absorb moisture and spoil faster in the fridge. Tomatoes, which lose flavor and texture when chilled. And garlic, which molds quickly and loses its healing properties when stored cold. And there are 4 vegetables that must be refrigerated. Leafy greens, which wilt and become unsafe without proper cold storage. Carrots, which lose crunch and beta-carotene if left out. Cucumbers, which spoil rapidly due to high water content. And bell peppers, which lose moisture and nutrients when not kept chilled. Each one of these foods plays a role in helping you stay strong, active, and independent, but only if stored the right way. Because as we age, it's not just what we eat, it's how we protect the nutrition inside. At Senior Fit, we believe that better habits start with better understanding. And sometimes a small change, like moving a tomato out of the fridge or a bunch of greens into the crisper drawer, can protect your body in bigger ways than you think. So here's your simple action step for today. Take a look in your fridge and pantry. Ask yourself, is everything in the right place? Could a few quick fixes help you get more out of the foods you're already eating? If this guide helped you learn something new, we'd love for you to share it. And if you want more science-based, senior-specific tips on nutrition, movement, and healthy aging, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Senior Fit. Because every meal is an opportunity to take care of yourself, and it starts with how you store what you eat.